despite all the challenges of a name change, it's kind of fun to go through the process of saying, okay, what are we?
So I think we approached it in the fact that, one, it started as a conversation over many years before the decision was made to change our brand, right? And so during that process, you do a lot of soul searching of who you are, how do we talk about ourselves? And we've been evolving how we talked about ourselves as an organization over that period of time, talking a little bit more about how we do things in partnership with people with disabilities and with communities. Some of the things that we've done here in Easton with a lot around our housing and community development work has really been focused on community, getting community input, being responsive to what we hear. And that was sort of the foundation of it. And then I think it was sort of saying, okay, how do we connect all the programs and services that we offer, from core services for people with disabilities to behavioral health to housing and community development, together, right? And so that's really was both an introspective process, but also an exciting process to sort of say, how do we come up with a name, an identity that really reflects the culture we've been building, both internally and external to the organization, and to what our values are. And I think where Fello fell into that is what kept coming up is that we do this in partnership, which is the idea of fellowship and connectivity. We are fellow citizens. We are fellow community members, right? And doesn't mean we all have to agree. Doesn't mean that we all do it the same way, but we do that with that sort of sense of camaraderie and the idea that everyone should have access to equity and inclusion in their communities. And I think that's sort of where we land, which is the core of who we were under our previous name, but it comes out much more as with our new identity as Fello. So everything is under the umbrella of Fello. Our housing and community development work is now Fello Communities, right? And so it has a separate board. It is a subsidiary of that, but it is connected. We have shared services, but ultimately our housing and community development work is to help create opportunities for people with disabilities to be fully included. To do that, you still need to have people who are paying market rent, right? Other people need access to affordable housing. And so that's our way of how we're creating inclusive communities. And so that's sort of the brand. So Easton Crossing and Silo Court and the Primrose House and the Laura House that will be built, or the residents at Port Street, are all housing developments of Fello Communities. There's been a lot of excitement, right? By and large, our stakeholders, once they understand it's a name change, our mission, vision, values are staying the same. I think people have been like, oh, okay, no, it makes sense. It's that. I think we made a strategic decision of not to drag out the name change, but literally on May 21st, our web presence, our building presence, what our staff wore, our maintenance vehicles were all changed that day. It was a huge logistical feat that our team put together. But we did that because we wanted people to say, as of today, that's this. But I think we've all experienced other brands, whether they're for-profit or nonprofit, that just sort of 3 years later, you still drive by and like, what's that sign? What's that? And so everything from our employees having business cards to the people we support, the documents they use being branded appropriately, right? And everything is sort of in between, because it's important to sort of be consistent about this is who we are now moving forward.